once again we live in total darkness. I don't know. Okay. Maybe? No. Ay. Hello everyone, it's Becky here and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new video. So today I have several things planned for you, so I decided to combine them all and create this little bookish vlog, let's call it. So I really hope you will enjoy this, and the first part of this video I would like to introduce to you my current reads, because I realized that it's been a while since I even posted on Instagram on my reading updates or what I'm currently reading. And another thing is that I am currently reading 5 books, my dear friends, 5 books, which I don't know how it's possible, because over the past few months I managed to read just 1 book a time and I was very happy with this. But somehow I find myself here and I'm reading 5 books. I have 2 physical books, 1 ebook and then 2 audiobooks on the go. So I just thought I will give you little updates on this, and of course I would love to hear if you read any of these books, and then also what are you currently reading. Please let me know in the comments because I would love to know. So starting immediately, okay, tea. So starting immediately, the first book on my list, physical one, is The Three Musketeers, of course, because right now in February is our read-along running and I'm super happy, super excited about this, but I'm not gonna tell you too much about this book right now. Are we focused? Yes. I'm struggling with light so much right now because it's super dark outside. Anyway, so I'm not gonna tell you too much about this book right now because I'm also trying to record vlog type of video where I'm recording my progress and experience of hosting my first read-along and also reading this book after several years for the first time. But as you can see, a lot of annotating is going on, so I'm super excited to tell you about this book more once the video is finished and once the read-along is finished as well. The book number 2, the physical one, is this one, which is called Anthology of Scottish Folktales. And if you remember, I purchased this book last November when I went to my trip to Scottish Highlands, and I'm approximately in the middle, and so far I'm very much enjoying this because obviously it's a collection of short stories from different authors across different areas of Scotland. And I found them super interesting because you have obviously traditional folktales, but what I find most interesting is that quite a lot of them I realized that I actually heard some sort of modification of these stories even in our Slavic culture. Which I found super interesting because I thought that these stories would be some which I never heard of, but I found here already 2 or 3 which I could recognize. Obviously, like the circumstances were maybe slightly different or characters, but the main premise of the story, like I could find it from one of the stories I was listening to when I was a kid from our type of culture. So it's super interesting to me, but I'm very much enjoying it. And then the let's speak about ebook which I have. So that one is called Freckles, and it's the first time I'm reading by this author. And I found this book at the airport when I was flying home for Christmas, and then I found it as ebook, so I decided to buy it. And so far I'm very much enjoying this because it's approximately 300 pages long, but I'm already 200 pages in after just a few days, which is very fast for me, trust me. And it's a story of a young girl called Allegra. However, everyone calls her Freckles because of the freckles on her skin, and she's coming from this little place in Ireland. However, she moves to Dublin because she's searching for her mother she never knew. And also, so far what I gathered is that this book speaks about the theory of 5 people, which I never really heard of, but it kind of makes sense. And it's a theory by some philosopher or who it was, who said that you are the average of 5 people you spend the most time with. So this idea was introduced to Allegra very early on in the book, and throughout the book so far at least, she's trying to think about 5 people in her life and how these people affect her, and she's also trying to find some new people. So it's quite interesting because obviously it kind of makes you think about your 5 people in your life, so the people who you spend the most time with and how maybe that affected your childhood or how it affects you now. So it's interesting. When it comes to writing style, I do enjoy it quite a lot, but I would say it's very raw. I don't even know how to explain this. Hopefully I will be able to give you a better explanation when I finish the book and I will do my whole wrap-up, but just the way it's written and sentences are constructed, sometimes you find there's some swear words or explicitly describing something regarding, I don't know, like sex or being naked and stuff, and you are reading it and it belongs there within the text, but it kind of like just wakes you up. I don't know how to describe this. I don't know if this ever happened to you, but just the text is very raw for me, but in a good way. So I'm curious to see what's gonna happen next. And moving to my 2 audiobooks, just let me double check if I'm focused. Right, we did some adjustments. Yikes! Okay, so my two audiobooks. The first one I'm listening to is called How to Love Yourself, which is like a motivational, inspirational self-help / memoir book, which is something I do not read very often, these self-help books, except if they are written by Fran Cotton, because I love her very much. But as I mentioned a couple times this year, I just wanted to try new things, and my sister recommended me this book because she does like this sort of like motivational, inspirational books, and I think it's good from time to time to read them as well. And this book is nothing from what I was expecting, and it's very good one. I'm almost at the end. I think I have one hour left to listen to, and yeah, it's difficult to even describe this book because I was expecting, you know, maybe some sort of like steps or stand naked in front of the mirror and then say what you love about yourself. And whilst there are some tools like this and also many different ones, it's also very much different from what I expected. So let me explain. At the very beginning of the book, the author Teal Swan is talking about herself and how she basically became around writing this book and some other books she wrote, and how she discovered that loving yourself first is so important, and why and how you can achieve this. And it was absolutely crazy to read about her experience because she's talking about her family and how they moved to Utah when she was, I think, 6 years old, and because the town was very strongly surrounded or created by the community of Mormons, how this community basically affected her, and how basically since this age, 6 years old, she was sexually abused and raped and mentally abused and tortured in different ways by one member of this community, and no one had any idea because obviously he was blackmailing her and she was a 6-year-old child. So once you are told, maybe don't tell about this to anyone, you just won't. And he also managed to persuade her that he is actually her father, like this abuser, which she had no reason not to believe him because she was spending so much time with him, and obviously she developed another like Stockholm syndrome. So absolutely crazy stuff. Honestly, when I was listening to this, it made me so sick and yeah, not great. So this was the first surprise that came, and basically from this point she is speaking about how she managed to overcome like suicidal thoughts and how she managed to escape, and after this navigate through life and try to live her life still with all this past trauma she had, and how that self-love was so important for basically building her life and building herself. And she gives you some tools how you can love yourself as well. And I would say that I did read couple things like this about self-love and self-confidence, because when I was in primary school and high school I used to struggle a little bit with like my self-image and body image and stuff like this. So previously I did read couple stuff, but I never really found anything helpful like this. But this book is really good, let me tell you, so far. There are some things which I wrote down and noted, and I will maybe try to practice some tools, because right now I'm very fine, like I'm doing fine, I don't struggle with these things anymore, luckily. However, a couple months of being unemployed does something to you, and my sister was telling me, maybe you should read this book, and I'm like, you know what, maybe I should. So it's nice to remind ourselves from time to time that yes, we are still doing good, although some things are not going great in our lives. But obviously comparing to her, unemployment is nothing, trust me. So yeah, this is a book which I'm currently reading. I'm not gonna give you the overall wrap-up because I don't know yet how I feel about the book completely, because I still have approximately over an hour left, as I mentioned, but it's a very interesting experience. Okie doke, so and the last book I'm reading right now is called Marianne by Daphne du Maurier, and if you remember, in March last year, I believe, it's been already a year. Anyway, so I mentioned to you that I did struggle to get into this book because I was listening to this book for several hours, and after this whole time I realized that I have no clue who are the characters and what is going on, and I put the book aside. So now I decided to pick it up again, and I'm approximately in the middle, and so far I am much more orientated about who is who and what is happening. But I must confess that this book, I do struggle to keep my attention for longer than 20 minutes. I don't find it as exciting as other books by Daphne du Maurier I read, and I love this author, she's my most favorite author of all time, but this book is a little bit tricky. But I'm determined to finish this and give you some overall wrap-up about this and my thoughts, so hopefully that will happen too. Right, my friends, adjusting the lights, give me a second. Right, there we go. Honestly, Scottish weather. Anyway, my friends, the second part of this video which I would like to speak to you about is my physical TBR, because last week I posted this video where I was talking a little bit about my physical books, and I mentioned that from my physical TBR I have here in Scotland, I have maybe 3 or 4 books which I haven't read yet, and this seemed to raise a lot of questions by you about my physical TBR and how many books I have and anything regarding this. So I decided I will just show you the books I have here, and then I was planning to do a little bit of unhauling, but only just 2 or 3 books maybe, and take them to a free little library, because I realized that those books I'm probably never gonna read again, so I just thought I would take you there with me once again. So hopefully you're gonna enjoy this, and yeah, let's go! Ta-da! Right, my friends, so these are all the books which I own here in Scotland. Obviously this pile is not here always, but I just put it there because usually it's on the floor because I don't have other space. So to give you a quick look, these are my few books here, and then little pile over here, like 3 books, and then a few more books here. Okay, so the few books which I'm going to give away are these 2 and then this one. So being Circe and Tattooist of Auschwitz, and then also the Island of Dreams. Now everything's gonna fall for sure. No. Okay, so I'm gonna come here. Can you see me? Ah, yes, but the lighting is horrible. Anyway, so the Island of Dreams being a first book here, because I did enjoy reading this book, but I did not enjoy it as much as I was hoping I will, because this is a book which is set in Scotland and Isle of Skye, and I was super excited about reading this, and I do love the cover and I would like to keep it, but I just know I'm never gonna read it again, and I think that maybe someone else can appreciate this. And then obviously the Tattooist of Auschwitz, which I finished now in January, and I mentioned this in my last wrap-up, that whilst I enjoy reading this book, it wasn't my favorite, and I don't think that I will ever reread this again. So and I purchased this in charity shop for I think £1, so I'm gonna put it to Free Little Library. And then the last book, the Circe, which I must say that I was deciding the longest time whether to give it away just simply for the cover, and I know it's horrible, but I just really like the cover. But as I mentioned in my review of this book, I was not as happy with how the things went in this book, so I just decided that I will move it forward to someone who might enjoy it more than I did. Right, and what I would also like to do is to put these books somewhere here and find some space for them, because they've been, as I mentioned, on my floor next to my bed, and I just would like to have them here. So yeah, Stanley Tucci, Matthew Perry are already read, Waypoints, which I loved very much, and these books, Surrender and Alan Rickman memoir, are going to be read in March and April, and I already have them planned as TBR, so I'm super excited. Okay, this is very strange angle, but here we go. And as I mentioned to you, there are some books from these which I haven't read yet, and the only ones which I haven't read are actually these 3 books: The House on the Strand, The Glass Blowers, and The Birds and Other Stories by Daphne du Maurier, which I have here since July. I started to read this book in July last year, and until this point it's not finished, but I am sure I will finish it this year at some point. But these 3 are basically the only books which I have not read from this physical TBR. Oh yeah, actually, not mentioning the 2 memoirs, but I completely forgot about them because I purchased them very recently and I am planning to read them now soon. But from the books which I mentioned in the tag video, where I would, you know, just purchase the book because I randomly find them and I thought, maybe at some point I will read them. That's not really a case for me. Usually if I buy a book, I just read it immediately. And if it wasn't for buddy reads, which we planned, I would probably already read these few books, but then because some buddy read got piled up, I just cannot read 50 books at once because it's enough. I'm reading 5 right now. So yes, my friends, this is the story of my physical TBR. Obviously, I do still have some books in Slovakia as well, but the case is very similar, so most of the time I read those books which I have in my TBR, or like physical TBR, or in my shelves, and these are the ones in Scotland. So here somewhere I'm gonna put my one of these books, and then maybe somewhere here. Yes. So okay, that's the plan, and now we are going out and we are gonna put these books into Free Little Library and see if there will be maybe some book which I like and I will add to my physical TBR as well. Yay! I'm not very happy right now because it's raining. But you know what? We are in Scotland and waiting for a good weather would mean that we will be just waiting. So I'm gonna take the umbrella and we are gonna go, and I'm standing in front of the balcony door with my bottom part of a pyjama with the camera in my hand, and someone was just looking at me as they passed. So right, so the good thing is that it's not raining anymore. Which is very surprising, but I still took my umbrella. But that also means that there might be more people outside, which I'm not that happy about, but we will see how this goes. I'm gonna go, and hopefully there are not gonna be many people, and hopefully there will be some nice books I can take with me. So yes. So a little report, the sun showed up, which is great, but it's a little bit windy, so I'm hoping you can hear me. So it took me a little while to get ready and go because I was writing notes into the books as I started previously when I was putting books to Little Library, and meanwhile the sun showed up and it stopped raining, so I'm super happy about this. But I must say I'm a little disappointed about the books, because although there are some books, I must say that those I seen there previously for past couple months and they are not really the books of my choice, so I did not take anything with me for now, but at least someone hopefully will enjoy the books I put there. So yes, my friends, I'm gonna go. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna make some tea and read Three Musketeers because read along is going on. So have a lovely day and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.